Well, welcome to this session that seeks to understand society using some basic sociological concepts, still under social structure and community relations within SBC 103D, that is Protecting Agencies and Community Relations. So in this session, you'll be thinking through some sociological concepts that will help you to properly understand and appreciate things that happen in our everyday life. You will be introduced to concepts like sociological perspective and sociological imagination. And I believe that you will understand and the class will be so enjoyable. By the end of this discussion, you should be able to demonstrate an understanding of sociological perspective and the sociological imagination. You should be able to provide practical examples to illustrate these two concepts. A basic premise underlying sociology is the notion that only by understanding the society in which we live can gain a fuller insight into ourselves. A scholar known as C. Wright Mills in 1959 termed this quality of discipline of sociological imagination that he sees it to be the ability to see our private experiences and personal difficulties as linked up with structural arrangement of our society and the historical terms in which we live. The sociological imagination enables us to break out of this contracted vision and discern the relationship between personal experiences and broader social and historical events. He continued by saying that our personal troubles and public issues overlap and interpenetrate to form the larger structure of social and historical life. In sum, he said, sociological imagination allows us to penetrate our social world and identify the links between our personal biographies and the larger social forces of life, to see that what is happening to us immediately is a minute point at which our personal lives and society intersect. For instance, if a student completes the University of Cape Coast with a very good class, and for 4 years he or she has been struggling to get a job, the sociological imagination tells us to look at the broader societal concept of unemployment in Ghana in order to appreciate the challenge the graduate has been going through. In such a situation, we must not necessarily blame it on the personal characteristics of the graduate in Ghana, but to look at the structural issues that constrain employment in the country. This is precisely what the sociological imagination is about, and I hope you understand it now. Now, the next thing we will talk about is sociological perspective, and I believe you've all heard of perspective. When you hear perspective, what comes to mind? Okay, so a perspective is simply a way of looking at something or a particular view held about something. So, sociological perspective will enjoin us to look beyond the often neglected and taken for granted aspects or issues of our society and examine them in fresh and creative ways. The sociological perspective allows us to bring previously inaccessible aspects of human life to social awareness and gain a window on the social landscape that we overlook through network of invisible rules and continually evolve, negotiated, and rework tacit bargain with family members. Many of these understandings are beneath the usual threshold of awareness. So as we look behind the outer edifice of the word and scrutinize the hidden fabric, we encounter new levels of reality. This approach of reality is a special form of consciousness that is the core of sociological perspective. A sociologist who understands this perspective will not evaluate people's behavior just as other person will do. He or she will go deeper to examine in detail the taken for granted factors that are responsible for such behavior. For instance, when we see a group of young people who are relying on sports betting instead of doing a particular job, we often conclude by saying that they are lazy. However, a sociological perspective advocates that we go further to the surface and deep understand that such behavior. It could be that what the available job for him is not enough to cover for his transportation costs, and from his workplace he or she will engage in other means in order to find money. Therefore, for these young men, it will be prudent to expend some more energy on a job that they get nothing from. So the sociologist will conclude that the explorative nature of employers is responsible for the behavior of these young men. We have just been taken through to the introduction of sociological imagination as stated by C. Wright Mills. That he said, when there is an ill in the society, especially employment, we don't need to blame the individuals. Rather, we blame the whole society causing the unemployment. We also looked at sociological perspective as way of viewing things within the society. So sociologists will go beyond what the ordinary person sees and try to profess reasons and solutions as to why something is happening. I believe that this discussion has been so interesting, and I look forward to see you in the next session. And until we meet in the next session, bye for now and thank you.